and it looks like he's gonna bring us some more rain, which we're really happy about. He uses those detours, he merges them in with our own story, and now it is part of the whole picture of us walking this life with the Lord. This is and should be a very hopeful message. Be careful how you train your animals. The Lord has definitely used this time of detour to really bless us. He also allowed me to get a lot of healing. I went through EMDR counseling, which is a form of trauma therapy, for a year and a half. Hello! I'm gonna speak fast because there are rain clouds coming this way and I don't want to get rained out. And speaking of rain, we got rain yesterday afternoon and we were really excited about it, me and my husband. We stood on the deck underneath the awning and we just watched the rain come down. We had not had rain for about 6 to 8 weeks. And it was getting pretty dry on our property. We still need more rain, actually. Our pond is pretty low. And my husband was telling me, wow, we really need rain. And all of the storms that have come through in East Texas have somehow just skipped over our little property here and other places immediately around us, but rained down on cities nearby, even causing some flash flooding in places south of us. But we were like, we missed the rain. We really need the rain. So I decided I would ask the Lord to bring the rain this past week. I prayed a couple of times and it looks like he's going to bring us some more rain, which we're really happy about. So it wouldn't be so hot and dry and our lovely property would look a little bit more alive. So if you are needing rain or something to change in the weather, definitely go to the Lord in prayer. He will respond to you. He will listen to our requests for just to bring rain when we need it. So I love that. I love that about God, that he listens to the things that we ask him for. But I just had the burden. The Lord said, ask for rain. So I did, and it came. All right, let's move along. Now it's the part of the video that I give my dog a treat for going outside. We trained her that every time she went outside and went potty that she would be able to get a treat coming inside because it was hard to corral her and get her to go to the bathroom. But now, even if she goes outside and steps outside for like 5 seconds, not doing her business, she still expects a treat. So be careful how you train your animals. She will stare at this door until she gets her treat. Okay, let's get you. Close the door. Good girl. I just released 3 short videos sharing a prophetic word, talking about how God is bringing people back from a detoured path, on a path that you were on onto the original path that he set us on, but bringing us further along once he brings us back on this path. Really great word. So encouraging to my own heart and my own spirit. Something that I'm walking through myself. He allows me to walk in it with you guys, experiencing what it is that he's sharing with us. And so I thought I would share with you how we got put on a detour ourselves, but then still believing that the detour was part of our journey. It wasn't something that wasted our time or something that was not seen ahead by the Lord. It was a part of our journey. And I think when we do go on these detours, we feel like they're detours and something does take us off what we are supposed to be doing, but God still uses it. He uses those detours, he merges them in with our own story, and now it is part of the whole picture of us walking this life with the Lord. This is and should be a very hopeful message for you all, as it is to my own heart. So let's talk about what took place in my life and my husband's life that detoured us for a season, but now we're being brought back to that path that we were pulled away from. It's a pretty interesting story, as is anything that God is involved in our lives. It's pretty cool. So, here is my detour story. Before I start, I have to say the Lord was not surprised by these things that were coming. Although my husband and I were very surprised, shocked even. We had confidence that the trajectory of our lives were still in the hands of God, even though we didn't understand what was going on fully at the time. The story begins in 2019 when my husband and I launched onto the field to serve the Lord, something that we had done years prior, and we were feeling led to return back to doing what our passion and our hearts wanted to do, which was to serve the Lord by serving a people in another nation. We ended up in a country serving a people group. We were there for about 3 months, and then I started to relapse with some mental health issues that I did not see coming at all. I honestly thought I had gotten it taken care of years prior. So that's coming to the surface. Months later, a little virus starts to spread around the world, which changes the lives of so many people in a lot of negative ways. Some positive, but others negative. And we had to make a decision very quickly based on a couple of things that were taking place in our circumstances at the time. One, because of this virus, the airport was about to shut down. 2, I was struggling with some mental health issues pretty bad. I had already gone to some counseling, and I was encouraged in these counseling sessions to get trauma therapy. So that was in the plans, but where to get this therapy, where I felt the safest, was important. So we had that to think about. And then 3, there was a family situation that I got pulled into, and it needed my attention and my care. So in making this decision to come back to the States as quickly as we had to make it, and the different things that were weighing on our hearts and our minds, we decided to come back to Texas to take care of my grandparents. When we came back, we didn't even have time to process that we had just left what we thought was God's plan for us, to serve Him in this nation with this people group. We had no time to process a quick change. We had to adapt pretty quickly to this little town that we live in now, which I'm not from, and we had to adapt our lives to what it meant and what it would look like to take care of my grandparents who were in great need of help. So over time, we decided to stay put, to put down some roots. Knowing that the need that my grandmother had, I could not move away from this area. So we decided to stay, decided to get an apartment. My husband started his own landscaping business. In all of this, as I was taking care of my grandmother and doing different things in that and wondering, God, what's going on? We didn't even have a chance to grieve being pulled away from what we felt like was a detour off of the path that God had for us. And we've been on this detour for about 6 years, and it started to dawn on us that God is bringing us back to something that we love and that we're passionate about, but also something that we are grateful that God would use us in that capacity. Again, I hear thunder. Don't rain yet, though I do want there to be rain eventually. There's something else I was going to say, but I don't remember what I was going to say. So not being able to grieve, being pulled off the path that we thought we were supposed to be on, trying to make sense of what was going on. There was a lot of chaos. There was some confusion that I was experiencing. Yet the Lord kept bringing me back to something that He spoke to my heart before we left overseas. He had spoken to my heart about using me to care for my grandparents. I did not know what that meant at the time, and I did not think I was needed. I thought it was something down the road, like maybe 5 years later. But I, of course, told the Lord, I am your vessel. Use me as you want to use me for your glory, for your purposes. And I had no idea that that small conversation before we left overseas would actually be God's plan for us a lot sooner. And so taking care of my grandparents, I heard the Lord say, this is what I want for you to do. I had no idea. I had no idea how it would unfold. I had no idea what that meant or what that would look like for Josh and I. But it wasn't the deciding point for us to leave the country that we were serving in. There was other things going on. My grandma, yes, did need help at the time, but because we were already thinking about transitioning back because of the virus, because of my issues with mental health, and maybe it would be better and safer for me to get trauma healing back in the States for a season, we decided to help my grandmother. We were already in transition, we were already up in the air, and so much was going on that we didn't understand, but we just kept hearing the Lord to go ahead and go meet with her and see what her needs were. So to make this story a little bit shorter, I don't want to draw this out to a lot of details. Josh got his business started. The Lord is using it in really wonderful ways. He's able to employ other individuals. We are able to live on this property with a home that he built, a container house. If you don't know, we live in a container home. You can see right behind me. And we have a guest house that's also a container home that we get to bless with family and friends. All good things. The Lord has definitely used this time of detour to really bless us. He also allowed allowed me to get a lot of healing. I went through EMDR counseling, which is a form of trauma therapy, for a year and a half during this season that we've been off of the field. Also, I had the chance to really define what my ministry is. I got my mental health coaching certification. I teach inner healing classes. I still have a group right now, and it has been great to serve the Lord in the season of trying to understand what we thought was the direction we were going in was not the direction that God allowed us to continue to go in. But in the detour, I grew more, my husband grew more, we matured more, I healed more in my own soul and heart. My mind healed more. I don't struggle with depression or anxiety like I did when we were on the field. And now I have a role with a sending organization where I'm a part of their care team, and I get to minister to other workers who are serving the Lord overseas. And I love my new role. I love being able to encourage them, to help them process the things that they experience while living abroad, being able to empathize with them if things don't go the way that they expected, and just living in another culture and language is a lot of stress. I get to minister to them. My husband and I sometimes get to do it together. So we are seeing the Lord bring that detour back into alignment with what God had initially called us to do. Now, we don't know what our future looks like. I'm still hopeful for one day being able to venture back overseas if that's what He will allow us to do. But in this season right now, as we are watching our path, our crooked path, or what we thought was kind of off the rails, coming back to a place that feels right, feels like this was the intent all along. God aligning us with something that He really wanted us to do in Him. And if you understand this feeling, and I have to say this, where you knew you were living a life that wasn't completely in alignment with your calling, and you know that, and it is a struggle. It's a struggle to continue to be grateful and to continue to trust the Lord. You feel discontentment sometimes trying to settle in. You feel maybe even some grief, depression, and just trying to make sense of all of it, right? But you just know this is not what God had called us to do. So it doesn't clearly make sense. But just trusting in the Lord and waiting on Him and His timing, eventually that detoured path is going to come back into right alignment. And then you'll be able to look back and understand what God was doing all along in His sovereignty. Whether it was the enemy that pulled you off, whether it was God that did it Himself, or He just allowed it with life circumstances happening around you. God will use it. Nothing is wasted. And then it becomes a part of your story because now you're a different person, having walked through a different path for a season. And now the Lord is bringing you back. You're more prepared. You understand more of what's going on, and you trust Him even more deeply because you can see that even in His sovereignty, He used something that you thought was not right, not a good fit, for His glory and for your good. So continue to trust Him, continue to lean into Him, continue to ask Him, God, what is it that you are doing? Do I just need to trust you in the season? Do I need to heal more? Do I need to grow more? Do I need to expand in my skills more? Whatever it is, may the Lord show you that, and may you know when He starts to bring that path back into alignment in His time, and may you have hope for that coming in your future. And sometimes it might be a slow pulling back, and that's okay. For us, it is. It's a little bit of a slow pulling back into what He wants us to do, and it's going to unfold in a beautiful way, and I'm just so excited about it. And it might be a few years before we get to be on a path that both my husband and I feel like this is exactly where God wants us. This is what He has called us to do. This is what He has planned all along. But in the meantime, as we wait on the Lord, as we trust in Him, and as we continue to have hope, let's continue to praise Him and thank Him that He knows what He's doing and that nothing that we've walked through is wasted. He's going to use it. He's going to use it. I really want to focus on this message to be a message of hope, a message that God doesn't just abandon us and put us to the side and say, you're not useful anymore. If you walk with Him faithfully, if you keep your eyes upon Him, if you're coming back to Him in a season where you were in rebellion or disobedience, God still has a plan to use you. He still has a plan to bring you to the place where He's desired for you to be. And we just have to trust Him in that. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. Trust that God has a plan. The detour is going to be grafted into your story, and it's going to be beautiful. And I talked about this already, but there are others in Scripture where in the moment, they were probably like, God had a plan for me, and this is not going out the way that I thought it would. But eventually, God still does what He wants to do in their lives, and He still uses them in a way that He's always planned to use them. And so that's the beauty of it. It might not unfold as we expect, but it's going to unfold in a beautiful way that God desires. And we just have to be willing for whatever that looks like. I'm just so thankful that God, He had a plan all along. And even though it didn't unfold as I expected it to unfold, I love the story that my husband and I are living out for His glory. I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and let the Lord's will be done in your life as well.